Welcome to New House Knows, where you go when you need to know. And introducing our hostesses with the mostesses.
Professor Newhouse, a.k.a. Rob, my trusty sidekick.
Aaron Michelle.
John the Builder.
Dun, dun, dun.
I was going to say, that one...
take it there.
No, but you did. That one was...
Oh, man.
That one was like extra smooth.
Yes,
Yeah,
ladies.
extra smooth.
Okay, I'll
Oh,
make a
yeah.
conscious effort not to do that.
Yes, ladies, he is as sexy
John.
as
No,
his
he's not. He's terrible.
And the man with the plan behind the panel here.
Zach, who records all the sessions.
Yes, that is scary.
And that is my wife's cackle, as beautiful as it is. That is my goal half the time, is to make you cackle.
The only man on the planet that thinks that's beautiful.
It's like a beautiful muse laugh. I don't have the words for it. It's
All
so
right,
beautiful.
so our listeners don't want to throw up. So
Yeah, I
what are we
know.
talking about
Good
today?
call.
So we've got all 8 people that listen to us are now hurling in their...
Hey, a
I'm
response
right
is a
there
response.
with you guys.
Well, what we've been doing, and I know this is taking time to get there, but this is a big thing. It's the challenge that we have right now in America, and our vantage is housing, because we think housing is equity in America, and we think, I believe strongly, that there's no reason why every American can't have a house. However, everything is working to the contrary right now.
And more than that, it's such a barometer for what's going on.
Yes.
Housing is such a strong indicator for everything else.
It's sorry, we're talking about serious things, and the professor is drinking out of a Minions bucket.
It is the Kevin Minion specifically.
It is the Kevin Minion specifically. I love my Kevin Minion.
You took that sip and those eyes.
Well,
right
when we're
through my
having a
soul.
video conference with a client, everything is very serious. And all I have to do is take a sip of my coffee, and it just breaks everything up.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
there
but
we
yeah,
go.
we were.
So homeless people.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
But that, you make that joke, but the majority of Americans are a month away from being homeless.
Oh, yeah. At any point in time.
Yes, because we're all living paycheck to paycheck. Most of us are renters, but even those that own, they're a month away from foreclosure. If they don't get paid, they can't pay.
Or you have a company buy your rented place and then tell you to get out
Yep.
when you're not even close to ready to do it.
So, one thing that was kind of woven through the entire last session is the fact that everything we're looking at is symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we're feeling is symptoms. Americans are pissed off about symptoms. And,
Rightfully so.
Oh, absolutely. We're not minimizing it. But when you rail at the symptoms, it's like shouting at the rain.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to stop the rain. The symptoms are masking what's going on, and what we want to talk to you guys about is what can you do to change your future, change the outcome. And that is the joy of a capitalist society,
Mm-hmm.
is that I have something you need.
Well, and I talked about how compromise or making choices is often uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And the problem is, or not the problem, the contrast to that is you're making choices, you're making compromises to survive right now that are uncomfortable. But you're doing them out of necessity. You've got a second job to pay the student loans, or to pay for groceries, or you're renting when you want to buy because you can't. There are a million things that you're doing for survival reasons, and they're uncomfortable. But again, if you're constantly making decisions based on the symptoms, based on grocery prices being too high, or you can't buy a house because housing prices being too high, you're never going to get a foothold to changing the things, because the symptoms are always going to morph. If all you're doing is making compromises for symptoms, you're never going to get ahead of the symptoms.
Not to mention, you can speak to 5 different Americans and you're going to see they're affected more heavily by different symptoms.
That's true.
So everybody is kind of becoming, and understand, folks, we're on your side, but we can't start seeing ourselves as the Lone Ranger that's being pooped upon. You got to see this is a systemic problem, and what we're trying to talk to you about is there's a lot of you. There's a lot of you, and you guys start standing together, things start changing. So
the solution is
oh my God. The solution is multi-parts. Something we were doing and we were focusing on, now it's kind of dead. And it was based on the last session. Aaron and I were talking about the fact that we have 8 clients that are just stalled. Now, that's too simple. It's too simple to say they're just stalled. They are just stalled.
And I want to say they're potential clients.
Yes.
They are not clients, and that's the problem.
specifically. That's fair to say.
Yeah, they've just stalled. So what is interesting is they are kind of a monolithic block. That is, on the average, the floor, I would say, is about 35 years old.
32.
32.
Mm-hmm.
And of the 8, just the 8.
Mm-hmm.
And the high side is mid-40s, early mid-40s.
I don't think any of them are that old.
Are they below 40?
Yeah, I think
A bunch of
Or 40 and below?
We got a few early 40s.
No, I think you're right. There is one that is mid 40s, but most of them are in their early to mid 30s.
Now, what they're trying to do, is there a through line on what they're all trying to do specifically?
Yeah, they're all trying to modify their home to meet their growing families.
Oh,
They're all
Effectively.
they're all 2-income households.
Of course,
mm-hmm.
because that's all. Nobody survives in America without a 2-income household.
Right.
Yeah.
They're spouses.
They all have 2 strong incomes. So it's
in
so
these
it's,
particular instances.
yeah. So it's not one strong and one weak. They are both very strong income earning households.
Good credit risks.
Mm-hmm.
And what are they running into? No financial products that help ease the burden.
Mm.
Something that they can. And these folks, they didn't come to us and they said, "Gee, wouldn't it just be great to give ourselves a present and expand the house?" No, they're going, well, one, we've got a little person ricocheting off the walls. We got a bun in the oven. Things are growing, and we want to grow our family. Our house has to meet that need.
Another one, they have a little person and they want a bun in the oven, but they have nowhere to put it. So
Sure.
they have to stop their family planning because they have nowhere to put.
There's no.
So specifically, they're adding rooms?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, most of these are bedrooms,
Okay.
bathrooms, and maybe improving food service, kitchen, and
Which makes sense.
and the social space in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Because houses are, and that's another episode, but the use of houses is transforming.
But
a
the
lot.
primary goal is bedrooms.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're also looking at the long term. They're looking at little people start out just like that, little people. But then they become teenagers,
Mm-hmm.
and then they become, college students. And we already know that I left the house when I was 18.
Yep.
That doesn't happen.
That's not common anymore.
That can't be common anymore, because a young person is having a hell of a time getting out. Starting on their own. Oh hell no! And then trying to take care of lodging and all this other stuff and go to school. No, that ain't gonna happen. So. Now your kid's going to be in the house not until they're 18, probably until they're 24, 23, 24.
What was the age on the insurance? Isn't it 25?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So that it's even set up in the
So
system.
which
Which is weirdly circumstantial or coincidental, maybe?
I don't even think it's coincidental. I think the government went, oh, we got a poop storm here. We got to do something. They didn't do it because it was swell.
Mm.
Because they had to.
Well, no, that's because 20 years ago they tied health insurance to being employer based, which
Yeah.
is stupid, and they recognized that nobody's going to get employer based health care until they're graduated from college, and you're not going to be graduated from college until your mid 20s. You're not going to have a job that you can get employer based health care, so it has nothing to do with.
Speaking of a whole nother thing you
Yeah,
have to afford.
so that's an entirely different
Yeah.
rant, but
What is important to draw from this is that you're right. There is this block. It's not monolithic, but it's kind of in the middle, and there is a common thread. This is a good thing. I'm an American. I want to grow my family. I want more kids. I want to grow up here, and I want them to go to school. And they're excited about that, and they're already seeing problems just getting the facility to take care of their family. Now,
I read this matters. I read a statistic yesterday that 30 years ago, 60% of late 20s to early 30-year-olds had 1 to 2 children.
Mhm.
Now it's 27%.
Yep.
And everybody's, they're like, people just don't want to have kids anymore. No, we can't afford
You
it.
can't afford a kid. It's scary.
We can't afford the house to put them in.
Yeah.
We can't afford the daycare to take care of them.
It's scary enough having a kid, but getting a new one is just unbelievably frightening.
Well, that's because
you want to feed them.
once you have the first one, you know how much it costs.
Exactly. And what was the number? Wasn't it like $1 million nowadays to be until they're 18, something
Well,
like that?
that's what my life insurance policy is because
Yeah.
that's how much it would cost if I died to take care of Moose until he's 18.
well, we're talking about compromise
Mhm.
in the last episode. Well, this is kind of interesting. When I grew up, and suffice to say I'm old, I grew up in a good Irish Catholic family. Mom, dad, 4 kids.
Yep.
We grew up in a little concrete block house in Florida because everything was built out of concrete block then. And it was 1,600 and something square feet.
They still do that in Hawaii, by the way. Everything's
Yeah.
concrete.
Yeah.
They still do in
1,600 and something
Florida.
square feet for 4 kids. And we survived. Mom ruled with an iron fist because that's what an Irish Catholic mom does. It kept us from killing each other. But we doubled up on rooms, and that's the way it was. I was the youngest. I shared a room with my sister. 2 boys shared the other room. And then as they, graduated high school and went on their merry way, Barbara got her own room because she's the girl, and I got stuck with Chris. Oh, my God.
And I bet you
And-
wore their clothes, too.
So, but,
Well, we
We
didn't want him
don't-
wearing Aunt Barbara's clothes.
we don't expect you. Hey, she was my height. We
She was.
Yeah, she was. She's 5'11". I was 6 feet. It worked.
I don't think the hips are made for the
Yeah,
pants.
yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, but all of her dresses were in his color.
Oh.
Well, they complimented my eyes, but I don't
Yeah.
want to go there on this. Okay, for the fashion segment.
But yeah, classic Irish Catholic family.
Yeah, there you go. Classic Irish Catholic family. We're not expecting you to try and raise a family in a diminutive square footage house, but we do need to compromise. We got to this place where everything's a McMansion. Houses were giant. We have seen, I just can't live without 2,600 square feet. I remember when the norm bopped up to 2,000. 2,000, by the way, properly designed, can work out pretty nicely for a family. It's a great way to go. 2,400 is a sweet spot. 2,400 works like a champ. But no, now we got to have 2,800. We got one house that we're renovating. It's rolling in now. I know the garage is locked. Where are we? 30. Oh crap.
Talking about in Paulding.
Yeah.
4101.
Oh, it's 4101 with the garage, and we take it out. We're at a cozy 3,400 square feet.
So-
Nice place if you can.
So in layman's terms, how many bedrooms, how many baths is that normally?
That was 4-3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 4 bedrooms, 3 baths.
4 gracious bedrooms. 3 baths.
Okay.
And a
Now-
lot of common spaces.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good common space. So,
A lot of room.
and we're not saying that, if you've got the means, cut back, but we are saying be thoughtful. Be thoughtful about what you do. Do you need this much square footage? Can you deal with less? Can you be more thoughtful? Because the first thing you can do is compromise. Less square footage is less cost. That's a fact. And some of the people that are coming to us, it's not an elective. They're really trying to figure out how to move forward. Because some of them aren't wanting to have kids. They already have the kids. Kind of a mystery how that happened. But still, it's never a mystery.
So one of life's great mysteries. if you-
Oh my God, did you realize I'm pregnant? How did that happen? So,
Hey, women, there are whole shows devoted to women who didn't know they were pregnant.
yeah, that's true. And they call that reality TV. And that's what we're talking about, folks.
What
It's
was that,
scary
Zach?
as hell.
What were you going to say, Zach? No, Zach.
No,
rephrase.
yeah.
You know what? No, I was actually planning on my pregnancy. He was very planned, and it still took me off guard. I did Google searches to see if I needed to go buy a pregnancy test because my brain is stupid.
It's the only time you'll hear Aaron in pro-eviction. It's the child.
I had to evict him from my body. He didn't want to go.
He's still clinging. He's still a barnacle.
He's my barnacle.
So the first thing, that we've identified from this monolithic block, and, nothing is absolute, but it's a hard one to argue with. And by the way, folks, I encourage you, write us, send emails to us, whatever. If
Comment
you
on
agree,
our social
disagree,
media.
comment, we're down.
We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, we want to hear from
in any
you.
capacity.
We're not gurus about everything, but we're very observant, and we are in this industry where we're seeing all these things very directly.
And I'm a research nerd.
Yeah. That being said, the commonality is the age. Millennials. I'm a boomer. I'm old.
Okay, boomer.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, boomer. And by the way, we do want to choke you to death when people say that.
It's silly.
Well, it pisses you off.
Yeah, of course. That's what it's for.
Yeah, I know. I love it. Other generation. We invented the internet. No, you didn't. We did. We did all this crap. Did we do a good job?
What's fun is they invented it, but they don't know how to use it.
You beat me.
I know I beat you to it, but you refused to talk earlier, so I thought I'd take your joke.
We designed it for 8-year-olds. Pay attention. So we started by breaking them in with cable TV. Once the 8-year-olds picked up cable TV, the internet was a piece of cake.
Yep.
No, yes, everybody's tied together, and everybody's trapped. So let's talk about my generation, because boomers are easy low-hanging fruit, right? We can't move.
Nope.
We can't move. We can't downsize.
They can't downsize.
We can't downsize. We're in our houses, and we got fabulous equity. We've paid on them for 20, 30 years. Some of us are paid off or real close to the end. And we've got killer equity, and we think about moving. There is no lateral move.
So what you're saying is we should do a Logan's Run situation.
Yeah.
Well, the problem
Reference.
is, and we've mentioned this before, and I just want to mention it again. What people don't understand is right now we are screwed by a trifecta.
Yeah.
It's not just that property values are too high. It is not just that construction costs are too high. It is not just that interest rates have increased so much over the last couple of years. It is that all three are happening concurrently. That is what is stalling everything out. That is what is crushing people. That is what is crushing this market, is that all three are happening at the same time. Because people keep bringing up, they're like, well, interest rates were 15% for a house mortgage back in the 80s and 90s. And our economy held it and it was fine. Yes, it was. And they're saying that to tell us to stop complaining. Mm-hmm. The problem is they're correct. The interest rates are not as high as they were, and the economy bore it comfortably back then because housing prices were also at a manageable rate. If housing prices now were at a manageable rate, the interest rates would not be punching us in the gut.
Yeah.
It's the combination of the three, and that's what people don't understand. And that's what's punching the boomers in the gut, and that's what's freezing their assets because they can't downsize because of these interest rates.
As we approach retirement, and I'm, 5 years away from retirement. As we approach retirement...
Over my dead body, by the way.
We have saved, we have stockpiled, we've saved money, we've done all these things. We've got Social Security, which is fabulous. We've got, Medicare, which reduces our cost. By the way, I officially became old recently. I got a card from the government that says
He's
you're
a card-carrying old person.
Yeah, I'm a card-carrying old person now.
The gray hair gave it away years ago.
Yeah, no shit. At any rate...
He loves me. You guys may not know, but he does. He loves me.
It's more white, thank you. I think it's, my wife says it's pretty. So
You're so pretty.
Bite me. So at any rate, we would normally, as we approach retirement, we would take the equity in our house, we would sell our house, we would take that equity, we would downsize, which would make our money go further and make our operating cost drop. Not now. Now we're trapped in the house.
Because if they downsized and tried to buy a condo, their mortgage costs would actually go up because of the interest rates being higher.
Yeah.
So they can't downsize.
Can't move in that direction. Can't which is just, I mean, your head explodes. All the facets of how it doesn't work anymore. We can't make a lateral move. If we downsize, it's gonna cost what our equity took. There's nothing. It was a lateral move to get smaller.
Which
it's that
then
lateral.
which then contributes to the problem of not having enough, the supply and demand problem, which is feeding into the housing cost problem, because since there are so many boomers that aren't able to downsize, they're holding that product. So our generation can't buy that product, so it's not in the market.
So you mentioned three things specifically. You said interest rates, you said housing cost, construction cost.
Yep.
Interest rates are screwing boomers.
And
Is that
us.
what I'm?
And you.
Interest rates
too,
screwing everybody.
But that's keeping.
All three are nailing you guys.
Yeah.
For example, all of us, me too.
But I'm wondering if one of those goes for the better. Say the interest rate's lower, or
It would help
construction.
everybody.
It would help everybody specifically, but would it affect the downsizing?
Now
Yes.
we're
Yes, it
talking
would.
about here's what we're zeroing in on. Who can affect change? Who is
Yeah, thank you. That's
in
what-
a position to leverage the situation best? I believe you guys. I believe millennials are in a position to take back the reins, and it's going to be hard. I mean, and I'm sorry, but you can do nothing, and it damn sure isn't going to get better. Or you
Well-
can do something and affect change. And here's what we're seeing. You got to pick the three things. All right, let's talk about interest rates. They're going to fall.
Eventually, they're going.
Is there a timeline that you think?
No, because
No.
he keeps lying about them.
Who keeps lying?
The Fed chair.
Chair.
Oh.
He keeps saying he's going to drop them, and then right as he gets to the month that he's supposed to drop them, he says, "Oh, never mind, I'm not going
You know what?
to."
You just reminded me about 6 months ago. You said the same thing.
Yeah.
He was saying he's going to do it next month.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
and then he was supposed
He
to
said
do
he was
it.
going to do it in March. Then he said he was going to do it in
crazy.
June, and he just said he isn't. And it's like, when are you going to do it? Oh, when pigs fly. I mean,
I think he's screwing with the market on purpose.
well, that's an opinion, but
That's why I said I think.
the
But for-
net result is the same. So, but the fact is, they will fall.
Okay.
Of- Eventually.
And they're not horrible. For example, if other big numbers change, interest rates aren't so horrible. For example, construction cost. Now,
If John would quit gouging everyone with his high
yeah,
cost
John and his
and unethical practices.
No.
Well, he has to pay his litigation fees.
Yeah, we call John the Velvet Hammer. He's he's that guy. He's that guy. No, in truth, interest rates are going to fall. It's going to happen. But John, and we'll devote another episode to this. But the fact of the matter is, construction's really inefficient.
Oh yeah.
So
I'll talk about it.
why is it inefficient?
Scattered site.
Like
What does that do?
Well, the fact that scattered site means everybody has to show up where it's being built. You got to take all the material there, all the labor's got to go there, all the tools got to go there, got to get electricity there, got to get water there. Everything has to go where it's built. We haven't changed the way we build things in 200 years.
So, John, how would you fix that?
well, I think you're always going to have that problem, though. I think it's always going to be that situation where it's got that site or whatever. But now, one thing we talked about
Yes.
is modular homes.
Or panelization.
Yep, panelization.
Okay.
There are ways
What
to...
is panelization?
Well, it means you can build walls, whole walls. You can, in a factory, a simple factory, not a complicated factory. These are really inexpensive to set up. I've done it myself for another company. It was pretty cool. You can build all the walls, put them on a truck, take them, just stand them up. What does that mean? Framing, all right, everybody says, I can frame this house up in 7 to 15 days.
As long as it doesn't rain, it doesn't snow,
Precisely.
it doesn't get too cold.
Doesn't snow, doesn't rain, doesn't get too cold, somebody doesn't get sick and fall down. Just there are so many variables. And then, John, you're always in the position of, then if the inspectors show up in the same month and,
Yeah, and, and that's a whole nother argument, too, because some of these inspectors, when they are built, like in that factory or whatever, you go ahead and in some instances, you cover the walls. Now, they have been inspected, so they are known to be within code of wherever you're putting that home, building, whatever you're doing.
Now, you're saying they got inspected in the factory?
Yes.
Yes.
There it is. Okay.
Yes.
That's speeding it up already.
Well, it is, but then you have some authorities having jurisdiction to go against that,
Wow.
and they want you to rip walls off and all that, and you have to do lawsuits.
It's
But
stupid.
It is
That
really
is stupid.
foolish because it's already proven that it's done. But anyway, that's the whole.
Well, do you
nother
think that's
argument.
people just proving they're needed for that job? I don't know. I try to look at Occam's razor on that. It's like, I need this. I like to keep my job, so I'm going to continue
Well,
to have to inspect things.
That could be a factor of it, but
It's simplified. It's oversimplified.
There are more efficient ways to build. There
Yeah.
are more efficient methods to use, and John and I know that.
Yeah.
And we could spend 3 or 4 sessions on it. But the fact is, construction could be more efficient. But the real big number, the Godzilla number, the elephant in the room that we got, how to eat an elephant?
One piece at a time.
One bite at a time, right? Property values.
That's
That's
the linchpin.
That's the linchpin. That's the number. Property values are stupid. Why are they stupid? I'm not going to share too much because it'll trash a really good session. But this is where millennials especially can band together and start shifting things. You are playing by a set of rules that are not fair. You're screwed. You're playing by a set of rules that are not fair. You're going to have to change the rules, and it's
and by doing that, it's an uncomfortable thing depending on where you are on which side of the fence. If you're a person that's ready to buy, you don't.
Okay.
precisely.
Because, for
You just
instance,
don't.
That makes sense.
I was just talking to my little sister. She's got a friend who's buying a 3-bedroom, 1-bath or 2-bath home for $500,000.
Jeebus.
It's ridiculous. And they're all that cost. I've been looking. I stalked
How
them.
old is the home, by the way?
I have no idea.
It's not young.
It's not young. It's not a brand new construction home.
I mean, we're seeing these homes. And by the way, in the last session, I talked about a TV,
Mm-hmm.
and they said 3-bedroom, 2-bath, Goldilocks picked it, perfect house, 820 grand. The picture of it, it's not a new home. It's a cute little, I would say, a craftsman style house. Cute, simple. It's attractive. It didn't look big. Looking at it, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. That's kind of interesting. Is it 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,500 square feet? Is it 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2,400 square feet? It's
Either way,
yeah.
$500,000 is too much. We're feeding into it because we have decided I have to have it. I have to own a home. I have to contort myself to make this work, even though the properties are too high, because we've decided this is the status quo. So if I don't buy it at this price, I'm never going to own. If we all band together and just stop buying them, people are going to have to lower their prices, just like when John was talking about the suppliers. If you stop buying at those suppliers, they have to lower their prices.
But here's the thing too, and I'm just going to push back on that a little bit because we've talked about it. We mentioned
we're
it
done
before.
with you.
Well, we mentioned it. We mentioned it before, but there are hedge fund companies still buying these houses.
And you
Yes.
read my mind on the other side of the fence. That's the uncomfortable part. You have to decide that you're not going to make as much profit as a seller, and you tell your realtor, I will not sell unless it is a private homeowner that is going to live in this home. You tell people, I will not sell to a corporation. I will not sell to a hedge fund. I will not sell to somebody who's going to lease this property. I will only sell to somebody who's going to reside in this property as their primary home.
But at the same time, too, isn't the mentality always been, I need to make a profit on my home so that when I buy the next one, I get a bigger place?
But
that's
you
the
can still,
million-dollar
but you can
question.
still
How
make a
much is
profit.
enough?
I don't know.
That's the question. How much is enough?
So when
We
they
got-
raise, it's like a weird cycle of they raise prices on homes, but I want to make money on my home so I can buy the more expensive home that is now risen up another $100,000.
Then that's where you decide. Again, you make the uncomfortable decision. You wait. You save more of your own money. You have more of your own money that you say, I can make up the difference with my savings. I don't have to gouge the next person
Savings?
and have a bidding war.
Who has that? I've seen it in a movie once.
You build up more equity in your home. You wait. You just decide, I don't need to expand. You organize. You sell furniture. You decide your kids don't need all of the toys in the store.
Yes, sellers, buyers, sellers especially may not be inclined to be more reasonable for the greater good. This is one of the problems. Is we're talking about the greater good. We're talking about trying to do something to make the country stronger, and we're stronger together.
Like,
And so, you know, cutting into it, John and I talked about this. And Aaron and I have watched it. Investors, I hate investors, and I'm not talking about the corporate guys. I'm talking about people that
Flippers.
they can't sleep at night, so they stay up and they watch the infomercial that says if you'll invest your life savings, you're going to become a millionaire. 9 out of 10 go bankrupt, and 1 out of 10 survive. Maybe get their money back or don't go bankrupt. But they've got a house, and it's in great shape. They've taken really good care of it. They've just taken great care of it. They put it on the market. They paid, I don't know, $120,000 for it, 30 years ago. And now it's worth I don't know, let's just throw a number out, $250,000, $250,000. Good money. Good money. They sell it. The guy 2 doors down watches the people that bought it put another $250,000 into it, investors, and they sell it for $500,000. The guy 2 doors down says, "Do you see their house just sold for $500,000? Not that it's been fully renovated, not that all this crap has happened to it. It just sold for $500,000. We can get more." And so they take their house, which is a toilet, they suck all the equity out, and because of demand, they can sell it for a stupidly elevated rate. A house that my wife and I rented for 7.5 years. Cute little place, 1,700 square feet, little Cape Cod, cute as button. It was a total trash pile when we got into it. We renovated it to rent. We were renting, and we cut a deal. You'll keep the rent down, I'll remodel it. And I did. It came out adorable. And it is like the least developed house in the community. It sold to be bulldozed for $480,000. To be bulldozed. So now you're starting with dirt.
Which means they're going to have to sell it for at least 1.4 to make a profit.
To build a house and turn a profit.
Yeah.
I mean, how insane is this? And yet, it keeps snowballing until we're where we are. And where we are is, if we zero in the single generation, and the reason is because you guys should be accepting the mantle of the middle income market.
We should be the primary buyers
You should
right now.
be the primary buyers. You should be moving into the middle income. You should be buying the houses because you're having children, you're building families, you're contributing to the economy. Yet, the biggest should be buying block can't. You rent and you are stuck. You're stuck with student debt. You're stuck with high value properties. You're stuck with high interest rates. And
we're stuck with stupid high rent costs, which is why we can't sock any money away, because they're profiting as well.
Well, it's kind of amazing because, cancer is a disease that, oddly, they say it eats you up. No, there's cells that don't function. They just don't do anything.
Cancer just wants to live.
Yeah, it just lives and it doesn't function. So it doesn't do its job, and it does, suck all the life out of everything else. And ultimately you die because too much becomes where it can't function. If we continue to allow the cancer to spread through the millennial generation, we are preventing you from contributing to the economy. It will fail. This isn't a maybe. It will fail. And right now, we've got this giant block. You ain't buying squat. You aren't buying houses.
We're just surviving.
You're treading
and limping
water.
along.
And so, my feeling is that as far as this show goes, watching my family, watching my clients that reflect you guys, we need to raise hell, because if John and I are going to survive, if the construction industry is going to survive, we have got to repair what I think is the safest, most practical buying block in the nation. That's you guys. Now, think about it logically. This empowers the shit out of you.
Mhm.
So that's where I want to leave us today.
So, yeah.
No, hit it. You
Yeah.
had something to say.
Well, I was just going to say, in summation, our solution is don't.
Yeah.
For now,
Just say no, right?
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately.
Nancy
Cool.
said it.
What's that?
Nancy said it.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, that's a reference. I haven't
There
heard
you
that
go.
reference in a long time.
Yeah.
Not as old as my Logan's Run reference, but I think that sums it all up. Thank you so much for listening to Newhouse Knows, where you go when you need to know.